Hi there, welcome to the first video in this series of ukulele fundamentals to help you learn the ukulele quicker and more effectively than any other system that is out there. Now, if you're not a beginner, then this lesson may be not as useful for you, but even if you are, then you may want to recap some of the fundamental parts of the ukulele. These are the things that you need to know, terms that will come up again, plus a bit of cultural knowledge about the ukulele. So the ukulele came around in the 19th century, and it was a version of the Portuguese guitar. It was made popular, of course, in Hawaii, the Hawaiian version of it. In the early 20th century, a few people such as George Thornbury and Roy Smeck made the ukulele popular. And it's had a resurgence again recently with people such as Jake Shikumburu and Julia Nunes, YouTube stars who've made the ukulele more popular. And let's be honest, a bit of the hipster culture with the ukulele. It's not the guitar, so that's made it a bit cooler as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no qualms about that. You know, if people are going to call you a hipster, they're going to call you a hipster, whatever. It's also really popular in schools at the moment, and there's a really good reason for that. It's a very simple instrument, but it can be more difficult. You can play more advanced things on it, and you can sing and play at the same time. So that's really useful for teaching children the fundamentals of music on. So it's no wonder that the ukulele has become a very popular instrument in schools. So let's get into it. Now, you may know there are four main, most common types of ukuleles, but these are not the only types of ukuleles out there. I have two of them with me today. I do have another one, but that is at home in England, so I can't show you that one today. But the first one, the smallest one and probably the most common, this is the soprano ukulele. If you see any cheap plastic ukuleles, they'll probably be a soprano. As I say, it's the most common one. It's the small one. It's really handy, really portable, and it's a really good instrument to learn on. Great for kids because it's not too big for them. Then you have the concert ukulele. This is uses the same tuning that you'll find on a soprano, and it's a little bit bigger in size. It has a little bit longer neck, so that makes it really good for soloing style because the neck's a bit longer, so you have more notes that you can play, but it's still quite small and you can bend the string quite easily, so that makes it a really good choice for soloing. Next, I have a tenor ukulele. This is the next size up after the concert. It's also really common, really popular, probably the second most common size ukulele, but the concert is a lot more popular now. It's a bit longer and it can have some different tuning options. It's very common to have a low G, we'll get into that a bit later on, a low G string on your tenor ukulele. But you can use it in the same tuning as you would a soprano. This one, as you may have noticed, is actually electric ukulele, so I can plug it into an amplifier, which gives it some sound. That's why I've taken this one along with me. Finally, you have the baritone ukulele. It's even bigger than a tenor. It's about the same size as a small guitar, and it in fact has the same tuning as the four highest in pitch strings on a guitar. So that makes it a good choice for guitarists to switch over to the ukulele, but it's not as common or as popular as some of these other sizes because it kind of seems a bit more like a guitar, I guess. Strings are also thicker and it's lower in pitch. So personally, I prefer the concert ukulele the most. It's a really nice size. I've got a very nice concert ukulele, which is why I haven't taken it with me traveling. But the tenor is really good and the soprano is really good. They're all good for different reasons. As I say, there are some other types and sizes of ukuleles, such as the sopranino, which is a smaller ukulele, even smaller than soprano. The iuke is an example of this, or is that piccolo? And then you have the long neck soprano. So that's like a soprano, but with more frets. So you have more soloing options with it. Banjoleles, which are a cross between a banjo and a ukulele. And resonator ukuleles, which have a resonator style body, which gives it a very different sound. Plus, of course, bass ukuleles. Yep. If you are all about that bass, then you'll love a bass ukulele. Okay, I'm going to use the tenor ukulele for the rest of this because it's bigger, it's easier to show, and we'll go over the parts of the ukulele, and then we'll go over how to hold the ukulele, and finally how to tune the ukulele. So the ukulele has three main parts. The head, this area here, the neck, this area down here, and the body of the ukulele, much like a person. Head, neck, body. Okay, but the neck's a lot longer on a ukulele than an actual person. In each part, there are some different individual sections, parts, which are very important. So the head, first of all. On the head, you have the main wood part of your head, and then you have your tuning pegs, 4 of them, and these change the pitch of a string. So if it is out of tune and it sounds horrible, these are what you need to use to change the pitch. We'll come on to that in a second with tuning, so don't worry about tuning yet. But these are the parts which change it. Sometimes you have 4 in a row, such as Fender ukuleles have 4 in a row, and that will be a tiny bit different, but it's pretty much the same process. On the neck, you then have, one last part for the head as well. You have your nut. This is the part which joins the head to the neck, and it keeps the strings tight and tense along the neck. On the neck, you have different frets, and you'll have a different number depending on how long the neck is. But these frets show you where each different note is. So on the ukulele, you have different, if you play one string, and you then press down on a different fret, the first fret along, you go up 1 semitone in pitch. So can you hear that? It's higher in pitch. And then the next one is another semitone higher in pitch. And that continues all the way up the neck. If you remember at school with a ruler, when you had only a tiny bit and you flipped the ruler, it was a very high pitch, but if you had a long part of the ruler, it vibrated and it was very low in pitch. It's the same with the string. So if you get really close up to the top here, it's got less space to vibrate, and so it's higher in pitch, and that's the same system. Now, you may have noticed there are some dots along the neck here, and these are fret markers which help you know where you are along your neck. It's very useful when you're playing. For me, I've got 5, 7, 9, and 11. 5, 7, 10, and 12 actually on this one. So they sometimes change around a bit. Can't remember if it's the same on the other one. So sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 9. 12 is very common, 5 and 7 are very common as well. Finally, okay, onto the body. Now at the body, we have the sound hole, which is where the vibrations come out of the body. It vibrates inside, and then the vibrations are sent through the sound hole. Then you have the actual wood of the body. And finally, you have your bridge. And your bridge is where you hold the strings at the other end. There are different styles of bridges, so it can be a bit different to change strings with, which we'll come on to on another video. But essentially, these hold it in place. Finally, you have your actual bridge here. And this is very useful for fine-tuning your strings. So the height of the strings off the fretboard to make it easier or harder to play, and also micro changes in the tuning. It's something a lot more complicated than we need to care about really for this fundamental video. But if it sounds in pitch here, so this note sounds good, but down here it sounds terrible, then you are going to need to change this part down here. And you'll probably need to get a professional to do it. You can do it yourself. There are some videos out there, but it can be quite complicated, so be careful with that. Right, let's get on to how to hold it. So I'm going to assume that you're like me and you're quite flat-chested. If you have more contours to your body, then this will actually be slightly different. But for someone like me, it's very simple. You just whack it into your chest, put your arm around like this, and hold it tight. And now it will stay in place. And then if you cup it here, it's really easy to strum. And you should be strumming in the so-called sweet spot. You may have to move down, but around there is the sweet spot, which sounds really good. Of course, if you have if you've got perhaps a bigger belly, then you might have to hold it higher up. And that can be a bit tougher on your hands up here. Or you might have to hold it lower down. And that, again, can be tougher on your wrist to turn around and play the strings at the top. So there is something you can use that can help you hold the ukulele correctly, and that is a ukulele strap. So I have one here. I use it a lot, especially if I'm performing. I don't want to have to worry about holding my ukulele in place so much, or dropping it especially. I'm actually just going to need to move this around. There are different styles, so bear that in mind. But this one, I hold it, I cup it around, I clip it in, if you can see, clips in there, and then it holds it. So obviously it will flop if I don't keep it upright. So I still have to hold it a bit with my hand, but then I can hold it, and if I had a belly, I can hold it out further. So that is a useful trick if you have more contours to your body than I do. Really simple to hold it though, just like that. Okay, final part is tuning. Now, I actually tuned this ukulele just beforehand, so it should be pretty much in tune. And this is tuned to probably the most common ukulele tuning around at the moment. And that is G, C, E, A. So high G, C, the lowest note on your ukulele, E, then A. So in order of lowest to highest, you actually go C, here, can you see the string? C, E, G, A. So you move up. So that's actually from lowest, and from highest to lowest, of course, A, G, E, C. So that's actually the most common one at the moment. It is also quite common, especially with smaller sopranos in concerts, to do this a whole tone up. So it's like playing with one string here. So that would be D, D, F sharp. Oh man, I really should have read this beforehand. D, F sharp, A, B. Yes, that's right. So that's quite a common tuning as well, and it changes all the notes up. There are many other, with a tenor, as I said at the start, it's quite common to have a low G string here. So it would be the same note, but an octave lower. And that means that you'll have this as your lowest note with a low G. I don't have the string on, so I can't change it. And you'll need a different string. So you'd have to buy a different string to be able to play that. You can also do all sorts of amazing, crazy other tunings, such as open chords, where when you strum the whole thing, you get a normal chord. So you can just strum away and you're playing a chord. It's like, although actually even this is a chord, but it would be a standard major chord like D or G. There are some other ones as well. There are loads of them. It's quite good fun just to play around with different tunings. And you can really experiment with the ukulele. But for tuning it, I'm going to use the soprano. I'm not sure how in tune or how out of tune this is, so it may be really easy or it may be really difficult. So let's see. Oh, that's not good. So it's not so good. You can see it's not terrible, but it's not great. Not as good, certainly, as the tenor that I was just playing. So there are different ways you can do this. You could go online to a site such as Tuner, that's with 2 R's at the end, .com, and that has an online tuner that you can use to tune your ukulele wherever you are, as long as you've got a PC with a microphone built in. It's very handy. I use it all the time. There are apps that you can get for your phone. You can play notes. You could get pitch pipe that will play it. You could tune each string to each other, but the simplest way is probably just to pick up a tuner like this and then use it to tune. And this is honestly what I do all the time. I do try and train my ear sometimes and tune by ear, but this is probably the best way for you. So if you can see at the moment, there's nothing on it. As soon as I play a note, it shows you the note and it flashes if it's in or out. So this one is flat. So I'm going to need to turn it up. So I'll turn it away from me this way, anti-clockwise. On the top, we'll tune it higher in pitch, and clockwise, we'll tune it lower in pitch. And then it changes over at the bottom. Well, again, it's sort of turning away. If you've got 4 in a row, then they'll all be the same way. They should be, at least, if they're connected in the right way. So let's tune this. Oh, actually, it's high in pitch, so I'll need to turn it down. There we go. Ooh. So when my one lights up green, that means it's in tune. It's very common if you have flat and sharp on display. When they both light up, that means it's in pitch. Okay, in tune, sorry. So this one's in tune. This one's in tune, good. This one is. Or this one's sharp as well, so I'll tune it in. It's always good to tune, to check all of them through once you've tuned it, because sometimes they can go out of tune from each other once you tune. So just remember that anti-clockwise goes up in pitch, clockwise goes down, and then it changes over, does it not? Yeah. So anti-clockwise goes down, clockwise goes up when it's on the bottom. If you have, that's me assuming that you haven't changed the strings and that they're set up so they go round in this way. If they're different, then you just need to check and make sure that they're not out of place. And once it's in tune, then you're free to go. So this is very simple, very quick, the fundamentals to get you started. I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next video that will come along will look into actually some strumming patterns, some chords and things like this. Stay tuned for the next one. Goodbye.